Attention, veterans, patriots, family and friends of veterans, historians, genealogists, and those who love a good story. This is one of the continuing episodes of our oral histories, and this one is entitled Veterans with Valor. Again, attention everyone. Present arms. Order, arms. And now, I'll be in the area for a while, at ease and as you were. Here's our next guest. Today we're going to be doing a Veteran of Valor interview with one of your neighbors, and he's going to introduce himself.
I'm Dr. Dexter Meyer, Jr. I live in Fort Thomas.
And you've lived here how long?
25 years.
And we're going to talk a little bit about your childhood. Where were you born?
Bracken County, a little village called Johnsville, which is no longer there. The AA highway took most of the little village.
And you had siblings?
One brother.
One brother.
He was in the Navy as a hospital corpsman. Spent most of his time in the Pacific during World War II. He's deceased.
I see. Now your parents, were they farming or what were they doing?
Farmers. My father and my mother, she was a miller. Mother taught school and Dad farmed.
I see. And where did she teach school?
In the local school in Johnsville.
I see. And
one-room school.
Okay, when did the Bracken County system become consolidated? Most of them in Kentucky was about 1937.
No. I don't know when it was consolidated. I went to high school for 3 years at Brooksville, which was the county seat. And my last year, this was during the Depression. We moved back, we lived in Brooksville. My dad was the deputy sheriff for a period of time and then had a grocery business in Brooksville. And during the Depression, nobody could pay their bills and he went broke. And we moved back to the little farm in Johnsville. The last year of high school, I went to Augusta, Kentucky. I rode the train both ways, up and back. It was cheaper to ride the train than it was to buy gasoline.
Oh, absolutely.
So I graduated from Augusta High School.
And was it called Augusta Seminary then?
No.
That was something else?
That was older.
I see.
Augusta has a long history with education. They had a college there, a seminary.
Well, what year did you graduate from high school?
1937.
And so that's still kind of coming out of the Depression.
I graduated the year of the big flood.
I see.
In fact, during the flood, the school was, a great deal of it was underwater. The gymnasium had about 6 feet of water in it.
Wow. So it became a swimming pool instead of a gymnasium.
Yes.
Now, did you immediately go to college after you got out of high school?
Went to Transylvania College in Lexington, Kentucky.
And did you realize you were going to be a doctor at that point?
In my mother's family.
You need to stop.
Okay.
This thing out here is just killing us.
Maybe.
Look at another Navy man. You don't say a lieutenant. He's a 2-striper, or a 2.5 striper, or a 3-striper. You know?
Yeah.
That's the way you talk. He's a 4-striper.
Yeah.
Yeah. You don't say yeah.
Well, see, we in the Army also have a little bit of that logo too. 3 stripes is buck sergeant,
Yeah.
and the 1 rocker is a platoon sergeant, but you never call them that. You basically call them lifer, meaning they're intending to be there. And if you get to the point where they've got 2 rockers, that's an E7, and they've been there a while, but they were usually professional soldiers, and so we called those guys pros. And the 6s didn't like that because they were a lifer, and that had a connotation that they were only there because they couldn't make it somewhere else. That wasn't always true, but
No.
we sure like to throw that salt in the wound.
Yeah.
Okay, go back to the 1937
Okay,
flood.
we're going to ask again about the 1937 flood when you were at Augusta High School. school was closed for quite a while because water in the gym, about 6 foot. Now they call those things natatoriums now, where it's basically you can do a lot of swimming. But at that time, it had been a very cold winter and a lot of snow, and then it started raining. Do you remember when it started raining?
No, I'm sorry, it was,
In
I
January.
think it was January, yes, yes.
And then they called school off because of high water. The roads were impassable.
The roads were impassable. The railroad still ran, but in Augusta, the water came all the way from the river up to the railroad, and everything was closed at Augusta. So they just called everything off till the water went down.
And that was probably in late February when it went down.
Not quite sure.
No. Well, anyhow, your career at Augusta High School, you graduated, and that was in 1937, and then you went to Transylvania College in Lexington.
Yes.
And at that point, did you know you were going to be a doctor?
Well, in my mother's family, her mother was a Yelton.
Mm-hmm.
The Yeltons were from Pendleton County, around Butler. There were a great many Dr. Yeltons over many generations. And Mother always sort of instilled the idea that I ought to be a doctor. So I entered school with the idea of being a pre-medical student.
I see. Now, did you wind up in ROTC at Transylvania?
They didn't have ROTC.
Okay. So the next question is, when the war broke out and when you had your selective service card, and we've got a very good collection here, we're going to kind of go through it in a little while. Were you drafted, or did you enlist?
No, they started a draft in 1941. They hadn't called anybody yet, but they had instituted a draft, and we all had, my card is there. I was examined here at Fort Thomas in 1941, this card right here, in preparation for a draft.
Okay.
And in Bracken County, my local board, they took almost every young man from Bracken County. And I had a low number, 800 number. One lady in my draft board insisted that they not draft me because I'd already been accepted to medical school. And all the rest of the board insisted I was going to go. But this lady known me since I was little, and she says, no, we're not going to. So I was deferred.
Well, it's good to have a connection.
Yes.
And how long was you deferred?
Well, I can't tell you exactly how long, but in medical school, after I had completed 2 years, the government took over the medical school, and you had to join the Army or the Navy.
Ah.
And I chose the Navy. And that was in
1942. Is that right?
1942.
September?
You've got it on my thing. Yes. So they didn't know what to do with us. The Navy didn't know what to do with us, or how to. Even though they had taken us over, we still were in school, and they paid our tuition, our books, and our uniforms, and a little bit a month. I don't know if it was very much, but they paid us a salary. They treated us basically like we were at the Naval Academy. We marched, we drilled, we studied naval tactics and things like that, as well as going to school. It was quite a job to do all that.
Yeah, it's quite a schedule.
I was in that program for 13 months,
Mm-hmm.
and then I graduated from medical school. And during that period of time in school, the Navy had started a internship program in the Navy, in the naval hospitals. And I applied for one of those. I went to Great Lakes and took a written examination and a physical examination. And I got one of those internships. Now, all of us that graduated were commissioned as lieutenant junior grade. At that time, that's what the Navy did, and the Army did them as first lieutenants. They don't do that anymore. You go in a grade higher now. So, yeah.
So while you're graduated from medical school and you are in the Navy, the active Navy, and you were at Great Lakes taking tests, but were you ever stationed at Great Lakes?
Yes, at the end of World War II.
At the end of World War. Now, did you go to Bethesda at any point?
My first intern duty was at the U.S. Naval Hospital, Bethesda, Maryland. They called it the National Naval Medical Center then.
I see.
Now, I was married, and we had one little girl at this time. I was one of the first groups that were interns at the hospital. I wasn't there very long, and I got orders to the U.S. Naval Hospital at Aiea Heights, Pearl Harbor. That's all in my orders there, the dates. I don't remember what they were. But I brought my wife and little girl back to my parents in Johnsville, and I caught a train for San Francisco.
I see. And then you caught a boat?
I caught a boat. In fact, I caught the cruiser San Francisco at Mare Island to go to Pearl Harbor.
And that
as a
was,
passenger.
As a passenger. And that was approximately still in 1942, or was
No,
it
this is 1944.
44?
I graduated in the early fall of 44, I think it was.
And I noticed that you did some ROTC at the University of Florida.
No,
Oh, I must have misread that or something like that. Maybe it's Illinois.
no.
July of 43 here. I'm going to point that to you. July of 43. And it says something about ROTC.
Naval ROTC.
Oh, yes, and you just
Louisville,
covered that.
at Louisville.
At Louisville,
Yes.
Louisville, Kentucky. All right. So, and you're married, and you've got the little girl, and they're in Johnsville. Your career was long and varied in the military. After World War II, you were still active, is that correct? As a Navy doctor? After World War II?
More or less.
Yeah.
The government was kind of cagey with this. They wouldn't discharge any of us. All of us that had been through these programs, they kept us in the reserve. You had two choices. You could go active or inactive. I was in practicing medicine in Falmouth, Kentucky. There was no reserve unit there, and I didn't have time, so I was the inactive reserve. And every year I had to fill out a form and send it in to them. I was eligible for more training under the GI Bill, and in 1950 I applied for and was accepted to the basic course in ophthalmology at Washington University in St. Louis. So I went there, and then I had a residency in ophthalmology at Washington University until I was called back into service in 1953
For Korea.
for the Korean War. Yes.
And by that time you were eye, ear, and throat?
Just eye.
Eye, just eye.
Yes.
And I would think that an eye doctor in the Navy is a pretty important job anywhere, whether it's Army, Navy, even in civilian.
Yes.
Those of us that wear lenses think highly of the ophthalmologist and the optometrist and those folks that have studied the inner workings. Now, how long was your schooling for the optometry?
Ophthalmology.
Ophthalmology.
It was 3 years. Could we go back to my leaving the States for Pearl Harbor?
Sure, absolutely.
My most interesting parts of my whole service were in World War II in the Pacific. The Navy had one big naval hospital outside the continental limits at that time, and that was at Aiea Heights, Honolulu, or Hawaii actually. It was up high above Pearl Harbor. You could see every ship in Pearl Harbor and every plane on Hickam Field. Now I completed my internship there, and this was a huge hospital. And we got casualties, Marine and Navy, from all over the Pacific. We had just wards of people that have what they now call PTSD. We had just wards of sailors and Marines with that type of thing. We had wards full of neurosurgical people with terrible head wounds and things like this. At that hospital, they had top surgeons from all of the big medical centers, the big clinics, so I was exposed to a tremendous number of good doctors. One of my most memorable experiences of that was we had a group of Japanese prisoners that came from one of the islands, I don't remember which. There were about 20 of them, and they were in terrible shape. They were starved and wounded and things. Well, they put them in a little special Quonset hut down in the cane fields, and I was assigned to that Quonset hut. And the interesting thing is, no matter what their name was, because they were, a Japanese soldier was supposed to have been killed. He wasn't supposed to surrender. So they didn't give their right name. Every one of them gave a name like a generic Smith.
Yes.
They all did that. But we took care of them, patched them up, operated on them, and the fellows that did the interviews got some valuable information from them on some of the fortifications in places like Okinawa and Iwo Jima. So, yeah, I have no idea what happened to them after I got it.
Yeah. Well, anyhow, that's certainly a significant thing. Most folks didn't realize that the medical corps take care of the enemy too, and
That's
it's
right.
still happening today in Iraq and Afghanistan. And it's certainly a humanitarian thing, but you were a medical doctor before you became involved. When you say you were at Falmouth,
Yeah.
you were just
Just
GP?
general doctor for about 6 years.
Uh-huh.
I was a general doctor really for 7 years
Uh-huh.
altogether.
And how many babies did you deliver
Oh,
in Pendleton County?
I don't know.
Lost count there, right?
Yes. Could I go back
Sure,
to the...
please.
When I left the hospital, I was assigned to the 78th Construction Battalion on Okinawa.
Is that CBs?
CBs. And I was the CBs had 2 doctors. The older doctor was getting ready to be retired out of the service, so I was their only doctor. But I was on Okinawa for 3 typhoons. One of them, our original base was on a beach. And during one of the typhoons, one of the big barrier reefs washed away, and our base washed away to it. My sick bay, which had several beds, washed out to sea. Then they rebuilt a new base. From there, I had several periods of, as the war ended, I had several periods of temporary duty, closing up the medical departments of other CB battalions that were being disbanded and sent home. When I left there, I went to Great Lakes, back to Great Lakes, for discharge. They decided they'd keep me a while, so at Great Lakes they had me examining Marines at Camp Robert Small for discharge, and then I was sent on temporary duty to Cincinnati. I was the doctor at the recruiting station over in the Federal Building for a short period of time, and then I was sent from there to the V12 unit at the University of Louisville, where I'd started out. I was the doctor for that V12 unit, so
Wow.
I'd made a complete circle in 3 years back to my, yeah.
And space age travel is nothing compared to the time frame that you were living in.
That's right. We were doing by train and bus and ship.
And ship.
Yes.
Now, being Navy, most of you fellows don't like being referred to as being on a boat.
No.
Because they all say you can put a boat on a ship.
That's right.
Were you ever on a destroyer or anything like that? Or was there such a thing as a medical hospital ship?
I was not. I've been passengers on a lot of vessels.
Right.
Going to and fro, and they always made you work when you're on there. You had sick call and everything. The only warship I was ever on was the USS Cruiser San Francisco. I caught her at Mare Island, where she was made in 1942. She'd been back there twice for refitting after battles. I caught her as a passenger to Pearl Harbor.
And how long were you at Pearl Harbor in that hospital?
About almost a year.
A year.
Not quite, almost a year.
A lot of activity. They were
Constantly.
rebuilding the place.
Constantly,
and,
yeah.
Just a large number of ships and airplanes.
Yeah.
Were a lot of the wounded brought back to Pearl Harbor?
Oh, yes. Yes, that's what we
Everything
had.
from the Pacific?
That's what we had, all wounded.
Yes.
We were the main hospital in the Navy in the Pacific. And this is where all the guys like Halsey and Nimitz, and they came, that's where they came for their medical care.
I see.
And we'd see the big admirals come and go. And
Well, the admirals usually get a little bit better treatment. I know medical treatment across the board, you do the best you can for everybody. But sometimes when there's an entourage of people escorting you,
everything closed down.
yeah. And the same thing happens today. I know that if there's going to be a high official visiting, let's say Cincinnati or something
Yes.
like it, all the streets get closed. The poor
Everything.
working guy's got to find another way to.
Everybody greets the admirals and takes them where they're going, yes.
Yeah. In reality, though, how many people, do you have any idea, how many people in the field, Navy, there's probably maybe 20 support people for every person that's,
A great many, yeah.
and it's pretty the same today. I think it's 25 is what the
Yes,
actual number
yes,
is for
yes.
everybody that's on the ground or on a ship.
Yes.
There's 25 support people, cooks, whatever else.
Yes.
And you need those. You need transportation in order to function, to do your job. Everybody has a job. Now, you say you actually resigned. They never did give you a...
No, they wouldn't discharge us. They kept us in the reserve, and I was inactive. Now, when I was called back to active duty in 1953 for the Korean War, there wasn't much war left. It was almost over. I was still a lieutenant junior grade because I'd been inactive. I had written several, I have a load of correspondence to the Navy Department prior to my entering this active duty in World War II. But anyhow, I was still a lieutenant junior grade. Been from 1944 to 19, almost 10 years. Well, anyhow, my first orders were to a naval air station in Kingsville, Texas. Well, I was reasonably sure they didn't need an ophthalmologist at Kingsville, Texas. So I corresponded with them down there, and they said, no, we send all our eye problems to Corpus Christi. They have a big hospital in Corpus Christi. So I write back and forth to the Navy, and I got no response. So one weekend, I put on my uniform, got on a train in St. Louis, and went to Washington, D.C. on Sunday. On Monday morning, I turned up at the Bureau of Medicine Surgery, the first one there when they opened their doors. And I checked in, and I told them what I'd come for. So they took me in to see the admiral in charge, the admiral in charge of the Bureau of Medicine Surgery. And he said, what are you here for, doctor? I said, well, I told him the story. I said, I'm here for a change of duty if you'll give it to me. I said, they don't. He said, where would you like to go? I said, I don't really care. Just put me someplace where I can use my skills. So he said, well, how would you like to go to San Francisco? I said, I don't really care. I'll go wherever you want me to go. So they did. They reassigned me, and they had wanted me to the Mare Island Naval Shipyard. I mean, the San Francisco Naval Shipyard. They had wanted me to report before my training was completely finished. But this time I had 4 children. And I said, Admiral, I'll never go back and finish if I can't get a little extension. So they gave me enough time to finish my training, which was just another 6 weeks maybe.
Mm-hmm.
So I went to the Naval Shipyard as just a regular doctor. And all we were doing were examining sailors in and out in a big shipyard, and a lot of Navy people coming in and out. I was immediately promoted to lieutenant. Immediately, they caught up with me. That was in 1953. Then I was transferred to the Mare Island Naval Hospital. And I was head of the eye, ear, nose, and throat department up there. And almost immediately, I was promoted to lieutenant commander. So all those years, I've been a lieutenant junior grade, 10 years, they promoted me twice in a year.
And did they give you a lot of back pay?
No back pay, never any back pay. You ought to see my correspondence about back pay. No, they don't give you back pay.
And they have you, like you said, they wouldn't give you a discharge, so they had you at their disposal. And they wanted
exactly. Now, I was still in the naval. I was still active when I was discharged and came back here to St. Louis. I came back to St. Louis. I was on the staff at Washington University Medical School there in the eye department. And I was there a year, and the traffic was terrible in St. Louis, getting around. I belonged to several outlying hospitals and things. So I decided to come back to Kentucky. And I had always planned to come back, but I got sidetracked. So in 1956, I came back to Covington, Kentucky, and established a practice next to the post office on Scott Street.
And how long did your professional office happen?
Well, I was there for several years. I had 2 young associates later on, and we moved our practice out to Erlanger. And I retired in 1980.
And since retirement, which nobody ever does if you're a doctor, is that accurate?
That's correct.
Were you ever involved in any organizations connected through the hospital auxiliaries or anything like that?
Well...
did you practice at St. Luke by any chance? You were never on staff there?
Yes.
Oh, yes, you were.
Did a lot of operations at St. Luke's.
Okay.
St. Elizabeth's. Yes, I was president of the medical staff at both Booth Hospital, which is...
In Covington?
Yeah, then it became Booth and Florence eventually.
Right.
And is now St. Elizabeth. And also at St. Elizabeth. I was also on the teaching staff at the University of Cincinnati. I was a professor. In fact, I'm a professor emeritus from the University of Cincinnati College of Medicine.
Well, you've got quite a few accomplishments in your life, considering a young fellow from Jonesville, Kentucky that's no longer there. But
Yeah.
you're growing up in Bracken County. You had a work ethic there that, and the fact that you went to Washington to confront the people to get a different assignment, you were pretty proactive about everything you were doing.
You had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had to be. I was also, at one time, president of the Kentucky State Board of Health, which was quite something.
Does one get elected to that, or does one get appointed?
It's a governor's appointment. I was appointed by, what's his name? Can't remember who it was.
Chandler, maybe?
No, it was after Chandler. It was,
Bert Combs?
no, before Bert.
Okay.
He's the one that actually started Northern Kentucky. In fact, I was at the original groundbreaking for Northern, and I took that letter inviting me to that, to the archives at Northern Kentucky. That's one of the first things they have in their archives is that invitation to the groundbreaking.
Well, that's quite an accomplishment in itself.
Yes.
We mentioned Bert Combs. That was sort of his political downfall by establishing a college in Northern Kentucky, as I understand it. But it has certainly grown, hasn't it? You never taught there, though.
No, no. I used to go out frequently. I've known a lot of people there. I've known 2 or 3 of their presidents.
Did you know Alvin Powlite by any chance?
Best of friends.
Best of friends.
In fact, when I left Falmouth to go into ophthalmology, my original intention was to come back and practice with Dr. Powlite. While I was gone from Falmouth 6 years before I got back here. Dr. John Woodard, who was an ear, nose, and throat specialist, had joined him. And if you remember where their office was down on Scott Street, very small office, there wasn't room for another doctor in there. And then in the meantime, he had a son that came back to practice with him later on. So I'd open an office. I came back and practiced solo for several years.
Now, for the benefit of those folks that might be watching this that don't know Alvin Powlite or his story, he was actually on the Bataan Death March, and as I understand it, probably significantly the lead to save lives of both. You know, the Japanese were not so happy about having prisoners.
They were not happy at all.
And so I know on some occasions his back was broken. Is that an accurate? Somebody hit him with a shovel?
I don't know, but I do know he's written 2 or 3 books, small books. He had a tough time, and he told me about he was on a ship once that was sunk of prisoners, and he told me about they were practically starved to death. He said we ate everything we could catch on the ground and ate it.
Well, as friends, you and Dr. Powlite survived a lot of things and had a lot of things in common too. And as a friend, that's, you know, if you establish a friendship in life and it lasts forever, that's a treasure in itself.
Yes.
So now I'm going to go back to when you came back to Kentucky and you established your office there in Covington, and you had a couple of assistants, a couple of younger doctors. Are they still in business?
Both. One's retired.
I see.
The other one still practices with the organization called the Cincinnati Eye Institute, which is a very large, one of the largest in the United States is in Cincinnati. It's also affiliated with the medical school now, the eye department.
I see.
He works at one of the offices out in on Thomas More Parkway.
I see.
He's still.
Yeah. Well,
he's 80-some years old.
And you've been a great influence on him and other people in that business.
I hope so.
Cataracts, did you ever do cataract surgery?
Oh, yes.
Thousands?
A great many.
And at one point they implanted a plastic lens?
Yes.
And now that's not, it's just done with lasers now as opposed to...
No. The only, they do the implantation, but the type of operation they do before they implant the lens sometimes allows a regrowth of part of the lens material. And they use a laser to burn that away. That's after the maybe 6 months or a year or maybe 3 years later. That's the only time they use a laser for the cataract operations.
So in addition to your medical profession associations and being president of quite a few organizations, did you ever have any other hobbies? Golf?
Oh yes, golf.
And did you shoot your age?
Oh, many times.
Well, good.
But you had to be pretty old to do that. You know, I played golf till I was 90 years old.
Well, and now, do you have hobbies that keep you busy?
No, I don't have any hobbies. I belong to American Legion,
Okay.
the chapter in Latonia. I used to go to their meetings and everything, and I have a hat here I wear whenever they have the programs out at the Highland Cemetery.
Yes.
I put this on whenever we go at anything like that.
Now, I was at the Highland Cemetery a couple of years in a row, and somebody asked, can anybody count cadence here? And I'm thinking every one of us could do this if we really wanted
If
to.
you had to, that's right.
But I'm going to make this point. There were a couple of fellows there with walkers. Now it's kind of hard to march in step with a walker, but the person who was organizing this was still trying to get somebody to count cadence. So counting cadence is where you march by either a song or numbers or something like that. And when you get a bunch of fellows that are in their 70s, 80s, 90s, it might be kind of hard for everybody to be in step.
Yeah, well, at the Highland Cemetery, the Legion Post 203 always raises a flag and says a prayer. And I've attended them for several years as a Legionnaire.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, the American Legion is certainly a very big organization around here. You would have also qualified for VFW.
Oh, yes. My brother was a
And he
VFW.
joined the VFW in Augusta.
Yes, my brother.
Yeah.
My brother taught school.
Uh-huh.
He graduated from Augusta, and his first teaching position was at Augusta in the grade school. And he coached basketball, I think. He wound up in Ohio at New Richmond in the junior high school there.
Well, he moved from one side of the river to the other.
Yes.
And how many years did he teach?
A long time.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He developed a severe allergy problem, and through treatment for that, he developed diabetes, and then he finally.
And what was his name?
Easton Francis Meyer.
Well, I know the Meyer family is a very common name in Bracken County and Pendleton County now. The Yeltons were familiar with most of those. You know, and the fact that your mother kind of kept pushing you in the direction of being a doctor. Mm-hmm. Your life has been a long, wonderful career in the medical field.
Yes.
And so we can thank our mothers for a lot of things.
Yeah.
Sometimes the habits that our mothers had and show up in our life, they had our faith and they had our work ethic. They made us have a work ethic, I think.
No choice.
Yeah. So of all the things that you've done in the military, and you mentioned that little trip on the boat back to Hawaii,
Mm-hmm.
and all the times that you treated the Japanese, is there another instance that you remember as something outstanding that, or maybe funny or humorous that others may enjoy hearing about?
This is kind of funny. The hospital decided to have, now this is a huge hospital, and I don't know, a huge number of doctors. They decided to have a dress ball or party where you had to wear your whites. Well, I didn't have any whites. In fact, the uniform that I reported in during World War II was a uniform that was discarded by the time I got to Pearl Harbor. I was back to khakis. Well, anyhow, at the time, if you wanted any Navy uniform, you had to go to Ford Island, which is famous for the Naval Air Station being there during Pearl Harbor and everything. Well, the Navy had a supply store at Ford Island, and I rushed down to Ford Island to try to find a uniform, a white uniform, dress uniform. Well, I was pretty small in size at that time around the waist. They sort of had to tailor it for me. So I was able to pick it up the afternoon of the big party. Had to have white shoes. They didn't have any in my size. I had to take a pair of white shoes that at least 2 sizes too big. But anyhow, here's a picture of just a few of us, my internship boys. There were about 20 of us interning there. That's just a few of them. I'm one of those there. I wore it that night. I never had it on again. I have no idea what happened to it. I think I lost it in one of the typhoons. I lost a lot of stuff in one of the typhoons. and I think that uniform went with it.
Well,
I've never had another one on. That's the only.
the only picture of you and your
Yes.
whites.
Yes.
Now, how do you keep those clean at a party?
Those parties are pretty rigid.
Oh, are they?
Yes. There's not much fooling going around.
Well, that's good. And I'm going to throw this in for a Marine who told me that he had been to a dress party with their regalia and he had a sword. And he was supposed to be standing with the sword point just on the floor. And he went to sleep, I guess. He fell over on his sword, but he said the good thing is those swords you could ride to Chicago on, they weren't sharp enough to cut anybody. But
Yes.
he created quite a problem. So maybe standing at attention too long is not a good idea.
I mentioned in the Marines, after I came back to St. Louis after discharge from Mare Island, I joined, I was a doctor for the 3rd Marine Reserve Battalion in St. Louis for a year before I came back to Kentucky.
Let's see.
So I've been a Marine for a year too.
Well, you've had a very colorful career. The medical profession in the Navy, from what I understand, highly skilled. Most Navy doctors achieve a great deal of, were you ever involved in any type of research at the University of Cincinnati or?
No, just teaching.
Just teaching.
Just teaching. I taught residents,
Uh-huh.
and in fact, one of my younger men that came with me was one of my students when I was, yeah. In fact, until just about 2 years ago, 3 years ago, I attended their morning rounds every week. So I had a long association with the university.
Yes, you have. Of all the residents that you taught, is there such a thing as the cream of the crop? Is that why the one guy wound up with you?
Oh, they've,
A lot of good
so
doctors.
many tremendous doctors have come out of that. One of them is internationally known, Dr. Augsburger. And in fact, he was chief of the department over there for a few years. He's still alive. And yes, these fellows have been tremendous, and a lot of them conduct clinics in foreign countries in South America, Central America, yearly, go back yearly, take groups with them to do things. Yeah, great bunch of doctors came out of there.
Now, a little contradiction of the medical profession. You don't believe in a lot of medicine, am I correct?
The less the better.
As far as drugs and things
Anything,
like
yes.
that. Are you an herbalist by any chance?
Not really, no.
Not really. Well, because sometimes folks that live your age.
Yes, yes, I know. Well, you know, there were two types of medical doctors for many, many years. The allopaths, and they were herbalists. That's what they did. They concocted things from herbs and yes. They don't offer those degrees anymore.
No, the Lloyd family in Cincinnati.
That's correct, yes.
And a lot of folks put a great deal of stock in that. The only problem is most of us have forgotten what time of the year you're supposed to eat onions and red clover and
That's right, yes. My mother made cough syrups from things that she picked in the fields, and yes, and ointments that she concocted from
yeah.
various things. Yes, my mother was, yeah.
And I think you treated my grandmother, who would have been, I think she was 88 when she died, but one of the doctors that followed you into Falmouth, Dr. Townsend, she told him that she was drinking elder blossom tea and cooking something else, and he said, that stuff will kill you. Well, she was already older than he was, and not a complete herbalist, but anyhow, you were aware of some things are.
Oh, yes, well, let me tell you, Dr. Townsend was there pre-World War II.
Oh, was he?
Then he was a captain in the Air Corps and a doctor, and then he came back. Very good friends. Yes, when I practiced there, people did the most extraordinary things to treat themselves. I remember one man brought his wife in one Saturday night late in the office. She had this bandage on her arm. Smelled pretty bad. She had burned herself very badly, and he had treated her with horse manure underneath that bandage. You can, lockjaw was very common in those days from barnyard
Sure.
thing. Why she didn't have lockjaw, I have no idea. But yeah, things like, and when you went to see a child, for example, and Grandma was there, you always ask Grandma first what she was treating the child with, and so forth. And then you ask her, what's wrong with the child, Grandma? You never made a diagnosis without checking with Grandma.
I understand that. And it was an extended family in those days.
In those days, they were extended.
Lived with the family. Well, the family
Always.
farm depended on everybody.
Always, always.
And I think having a grandmother in the house was like having two mothers.
That's right.
Maybe better than two mothers. And if you got in trouble, well, you probably never got in trouble in school, but some of my friends, their parents knew about what had happened in school long before the bus came home.
Oh, yes.
And the punishment was probably more severe than the school had ever figured on coming out.
I remember when we first, we didn't have electricity till we lived in a house that was very old when I was a kid, and it had a carbide system of generating a gas from a mantle hanging down from the ceiling, and you lit it with a match and you got a little flame. And that was the lights we had until the Rayo system came out where you pumped up a gas and it had a mantle in there, very bright light.
Yeah.
We had those at night. And when we first got electricity, I may have been in high school, I don't know. But just one wire hanging down and one bulb.
Yeah.
And I remember when we got our first telephone. It was one of those on the wall things that you cranked. And we were on a party line. You mentioned knowing about things. All of the road we were on was on a party line.
Same party line. So you had to identify the ring, two shorts, two longs.
That's right. But no matter who was calling, everybody. And so nothing happened up this way that the last guy didn't know about in about 5 minutes.
Yeah. And maybe the communication was better then.
It was great, yes.
Do you remember the Depression? I know you lived through the Depression.
Yes.
Did you have a job at that point?
Well, the Depression lasted a lot longer than people think.
Right.
The Depression was going on before the stock market crash.
And that was in '29, so the Depression was already...
Already in full force.
Yeah.
And it went on until World War II started. My dad had a rather large store. My dad was a fairly progressive fella. I was just in junior high school, in my first year in high school, when he started this big store. He was the first person there to have a big meat locker with electricity. In fact, we butchered our own meat that we sold there. And he would go out and choose an animal, and then I would go out later, round that steer up or whatever. I would shoot it. I would hang it up in a tree by pulleys.
Lock and tackle, yeah.
Bull day. I would skin it. I'd gut it. I'd cut it up and bring it, put it in the car, and bring it back to be put in the locker. I was doing that when I was a freshman in high school.
Yeah. And You probably, it was the family car, I'm sure. Do you remember
An
what
old
kind-
Model A.
Model A.
An old Model A.
And today, the government has to inspect everything, and sometimes I think maybe they go a little, farmers still butcher their own cattle.
Yes.
For your own consumption, you don't have to have it inspected. And the locker plant that he had there in Brooksville, certainly a cutting-edge technology at that time.
Yes, yes.
Was the Meyer family always involved in the grocery business? I know that's, no,
No, just my father.
just your father.
And he did that after his term as deputy sheriff was out. He ran with another gentleman, and they didn't win. So he stayed in Brooksville and established this. He had the biggest. Well, there were only 2 groceries in Brooksville at that time. Mr. Pinkard had a grocery, and my father had a very large grocery and meat market. And we tested cream. I was the cream tester on Saturday, and that was. I'm still a little kid doing this.
Sure. The fact that you were able to drive before you were 16, I think is.
From the time I was able to walk, almost.
Yeah. Now, a young man told me, not a young man, he was probably 84 when he told me this, but he said that he was 12 years old when he got a driver's license in Pendleton County. And the reason was he was the only one in the family that could drive a Model T.
I could drive a Model T. That's where I learned to drive a Model T.
And the judge basically asked, can he drive the car? And his father said, well, he's the only one that can drive. He brought us here. He needs a license so he's not breaking the law.
We didn't have licenses then. I don't know when they started issuing driver's license. I don't remember that, but I did not have a license.
So did the family own the Model T, or did?
Oh, yes,
Yeah.
yes.
And
My father my father as a young man was a horseman. And he had several riding horses and buggy horses, and he had been a tobacco grader for the government and a few things. He had done fairly well financially as a young man. But then after he married my mother, they bought a farm adjoined to my grandfather Miller's. And he became a farmer. He'd always been a farmer off and on.
Right.
But he was a great animal husbandry man. And tobacco. He loved to grow tobacco.
And that's kind of a lost art in that part of the country now. There's a lot of wineries
There's
starting.
no tobacco. There's no tobacco.
Yeah. And as a medical professional, that's probably not a bad idea.
Not a
is it?
bad idea, no.
I'm going to ask you something else about your family. Where'd you meet your wife?
My wife is from Kansas City, but her family were all around Harrodsburg, not Harrisburg, Stanford, in that area, Kentucky. She had a cousin that was Dean of Women at Transylvania College at that time. And she was instrumental in getting my wife to come to Transylvania. She'd already had some junior college work in Missouri, and she came as a sophomore, I think. And I met her when I was a junior, I think.
see.
So we've known each other since 1939.
Well, it's been a long, good relationship.
73 years.
Yeah. Wow. And most folks today, I think the average is 1 out of 2 marriages fail in 8 or 9 years.
Yes.
So you've got something to be very proud of there. Just everything you've done has been a great accomplishment. We're going to do some close-ups now of some of these things. And
Navy cap goes this, on this side you wore the Navy emblem, and you wore your rank on this side. Now, the big cap that has the brim on it.
right, like
That-
your dress cap here.
Yes, that just has a big Navy insignia in front, a big Navy insignia, about,
Twice that size, probably.
or bigger,
Uh-huh.
yes, big, very big, yes.
And this is depicting your rank.
This is this is the rank. And this is In the Navy, you had different categories of service. You had line officers, which had a star. They're the real sailors. The Medical Corps had this. Dental Corps had something similar. And then there's a cross for the Chaplain's Corps and Supply Corps. They have a separate thing on it. So, yeah.
Now, these are your official documents from identifying you, because you had to show that on a lot of occasions because of security and whatever.
I do not have my last official thing. This is the discharge from World War II, one of them, and this is from the Korean War. And my original dog tags, I have no idea. My wife and I have moved 22 times, and things get lost.
Things get misplaced.
And my original dog, I was able to save these. I was not able to save my lieutenant junior grade here. Now this picture was taken just as I was reporting back for the Korean War. That's the way I looked in 1953.
Well,
So you do see me with my junior grade things, and then this was next, and then this was next.
yeah. And I assume this is a picture from somewhere in the Philippines?
That's,
or not?
no, that's Okinawa.
Okinawa.
That's Okinawa, and that was after one of the typhoons. I was sitting up there someplace, I don't know. I had my own Jeep as the medical officer for the CB battalion.
Wow.
So when I wasn't working, I was going around the island looking at things, visiting friends.
So this is a replacement dog tag.
That's replacement dog tag. I got that up at the big Air Force Museum in Dayton.
Right, Pat?
At Wright Pat, they make those for you.
And these would be your...
These were mine right here. Well, this is the same here, but these, and this was the same. And I have a little note there telling what happened to me in my ranks. Now, while I was in Pearl Harbor at the big hospital, I belonged to the Honolulu Medical Society. And
I guess you don't make many of those meetings anymore, do you?
No, and I still have that card.
Well,
I still have that card. And I'm been a Kentucky colonel for a long time. I still have that original card. And, well...
And we have your work order, or your orders
All
from the
of
government.
them, every one, from World War II and
And
Korea.
that's amazing that you have that collection.
Yeah.
At some point,
Well, the Navy writes letters. The Navy writes letters. Now, while I was during the Korean War, I'm a diplomate of the American Board of Ophthalmology and a member of the American Academy of Ophthalmology and a fellow of the American College of Surgeons. And I can't find my little tassel. I guess it's someplace around here that they give you when you go through the American College of Surgeons in Atlantic City. You go up there for the ceremony. But I took my boards from the American Academy of Ophthalmology while I was at Mare Island. And I have letters from them thanking me or acknowledging that I'm now, and they write you letters, nice letters.
The Navy's good about that.
And I have all those things in there, so it's
Now, you took an honor flight.
Yes.
What year was that?
The date's on there, isn't it? Someplace.
Oh, yeah, the film was developed in, 2011. 2011. So you were one of the first groups that went
Yes,
from around
well, that
here.
whole thing, the bottom group of pictures,
Yeah.
they assign you a minder that's with you the entire time.
Mm-hmm.
The honor flights are something. They have everything you could think of to take care of. They have wheelchairs. They have emergency.
Couple of EMTs going with you.
Yes, and all kinds of people. And my minder was a young lady who took all those pictures that are inside there of me at various times. And those pictures you're seeing here, she took all those. And when they're finished, they send you this little, she sent me that little booklet and these other pictures.
Wow.
of various things. And I wore that tag while I was there. You can see that. There's my plane tickets and stuff.
And the reception back here at the airport, was
Oh,
that pretty
gosh.
exciting?
Yes. Well, one of the great things about that, we were leaving. We had we ate at a big cafeteria close to the airport in Washington.
Mhm.
And the minder, the lady that was my minder, they had about 4 people from that office over in Cincinnati, whatever business they're in. And she and another young man from that group, and I sat with another old sailor. Well, during the course of the meal, he starts talking. He had been on a ship that was sunk in one of the early battles down close to Iwo Jima, close to Guadalcanal.
Mhm.
He'd been in the water several days and washed up on a little beach on some little island out in the South Pacific where there's nothing but natives. And he started telling about what the natives did for them. One of the things that I thought was very unusual, they had nothing to eat. The chief of the native tribe showed them how to mark off the beach and find where the seabirds had laid their eggs so they could harvest the eggs to eat.
Wow.
Now I thought that, and he was there a long time before they were rescued. So yeah,
So he survived because of the kindness of the chief.
and he just died about 2 years ago.
Uh-huh.
He was over in Cincinnati, and I talked to him a lot afterwards.
Yeah.
I'd call him up and talk to him, and
So isn't that great? You know, even though you didn't know each other before, but
No,
at that meeting,
yeah,
you
yeah.
become instant friends.
Yeah.
You're brothers in
yeah,
whatever branch of the
yeah,
service.
yeah.
I'm going to ask a little bit about this.
That's Ernie
strange-
Pyle's Jeep.
Ernie Pyle.
That's Ernie Pyle's Jeep.
Okay.
And this is Ernie Pyle's memorial. Yeah. There's a picture of Ernie Pyle. His memorial is right there.
Okay.
And then this is the, one of these is the surrender. See, I was in the Pacific when the surrender happened. And those kind of things.
And here's a picture of the surrender.
Yeah, those things floated around, but it was on the Missouri, you know, and the Missouri is a
Battleship.
is a permanent memorial at Pearl Harbor, along with the Arizona. Well, until you've seen a ship like that in full force, steaming at 30 knots, you can't imagine what it looked like.
No.
Gee whiz.
Okay.
Yeah.
My only experience, and I'm thinking it was a boat, it probably wasn't a ship. I was on a troop transport,
Yeah.
and
Now this is this original 78 CB battalion that I joined.
and these are all doctors.
No, these are just the officers. This man right here is the senior doctor,
I see.
and I'm back here, right there. I'm a very junior doctor at that time, junior grade. And then this is a later group, but I went from several after this. These fellas were in the war from the very start. And they started down in Australia and moved their way north through all the islands. As I told you, then after they disbanded, I was still there, and the Navy sent me to various CB battalions to inventory, pack up, and send all their medical gear back to Washington. So I have all I have all those orders there, individual orders. Now this is what I got that on Okinawa. That's what the Japanese paid their soldiers with.
And so what is its value?
It had no value at all.
No value as far as...
No value at all. No.
Okay.
In fact, none of the wartime. We used a wartime script too,
Yes.
and it had no value after you got out. It was We used it for everything, though, and
This would be the equivalent of maybe $1 or $5.
I have no
Don't
idea.
know.
Have no
Okay.
idea.
Well,
it says peso on
yeah, the
it.
fact that it says peso,
Yeah,
that's
yeah.
kind of a Mexican
Yeah, it
Spanish.
is. Yes, yes. I have no idea why. Yeah.
Well, you have a lot of memorabilia here,
Yes.
and your honor flight certainly was a memory that
Oh,
you'll
yeah, that
cherish
was great.
forever.
That was great. I sort of resisted that for several years, and then I decided,
Because you weren't old enough.
no, I just didn't. I'd been stationed in Washington, and we'd gone back to Washington with our children
Right.
as they grew for many years,
Yeah.
and we'd seen everything, except when we used to go, the only memorial was the Iwo Jima Memorial, which is right at basically Arlington Cemetery. Now they have, gosh, one to the Air Force, one to
Women nurses
the nurses. They have
and the World War II.
they had big World War II, which is tremendous.
Yeah, there's some pictures here.
It's all on DVD here. But they have one to Korean War, and one to Vietnam, and these are tremendous memorials. And the one to the Air Force is up on the hill right above the National Cemetery, right close to what used to be called the Navy Annex, up on a hill, overlooking the river and right down at the Pentagon. Now the memorial are three huge curved, like tusks, ships in flight, going, three of them.
Right.
If they had been there when the
Airplane.
9/11 happened, well, the airplane that hit the Pentagon, on top of the Army Navy building were a bunch of aerial type things.
Antennas, right.
That plane clipped them off and went straight down and hit the wall of the Pentagon. If that memorial had been there, it would have hit the memorial, because the memorial is higher than that building.
Well, it's certainly a significant event.
Yeah.
I'm going to ask one more question, and this is something we usually finish off with. It's, we're going to ask if you had advice for anybody out here listening. What would your advice be as far as your philosophy of life or?
Well, I'm basically distressed that we don't have a draft anymore. I feel that the young men, particularly, have no feeling of citizenship like we did when I was growing up, and all I would say that all the young people ought to do something for their country if they can.
That's a very noble statement, and I'm sure it's shared by many people. We want to thank you for your wonderful many years of service to the United States government, to the Navy, to the community in general in northern Kentucky and Hawaii and Kansas City and wherever you were stationed at that point, and to Falmouth, Kentucky. You were a country doctor, delivering babies and taking care of people who were treating people with horse manure, and that's such a story, but you're right. It's a wonder a lot of those folks didn't die before they got to you.
Well, I saw things then that don't exist anymore. Tularemia, which was caught from infected rabbits. We had tularemia.
Is that the same as rabbit fever?
Rabbit
the short
fever.
name?
I treated people with tularemia. And you don't see people getting lockjaw anymore. I had one patient that had tetanus. And you just don't see some of these diseases that we had then. That hasn't been that long ago, but they're extinct now.
But I'm thinking there are more farming accidents now than there
Oh
were.
yes, bad accidents now.
Yeah. Previously, if a farmer had a piece of equipment, he might lose a finger or something like that. Now, the tractor is so big and the power, the drivetrain.
Yeah.
But the good thing is you have contributed to the health and welfare of millions probably of people when you consider the number of people in the Navy.
Yes.
And
I treat them all right.
your teaching at UC. You've certainly had a great and long career, so I want to thank you personally for your service
Thank
in
you.
the military and your service to the community. And as one soldier to another, actually you're not a soldier, though, you were a Marine for a while.
I love my son-in-law was stationed at Fort Hood and White Sands Missile Range and Schofield Barracks, and we have spent a great deal of time with him over the years. And I've been in more Army posts than you can think of.
I'm sure you have.
And whenever we used to travel together here in the country, and we'd always stop at a big Army post just to go through it, you know. And, yeah, I love Army posts.
Well, there's something about an Army barracks that,
Yeah.
and the Army mess
Yeah.
hall.
Well, I just like the services.
Yes. Well, thank you again. Now, we're going to kind of do a few close-ups here of some of
Okay.
your orders, and maybe I can,
If anything you want to see, you can see my bed. I've got MacArthur's last statement when he gave his last talk to West Point, and when he talked to Congress. I've got things like that.
well, you've certainly treasured these artifacts, and as historians, we consider this to be quite an honor that somebody has taken the time to save all of these things. So many times people, well, it's of no value to anybody. But to people who are interested in history, these things are so valuable. MacArthur's farewell speech to Congress.
Yeah, but
And-
this is one. Yeah, that's good. You remember that when they brought him back
Yes.
from Korea? That is great. But this is great. Well, you know, you're talking about Dr. Palak. I've been to the Philippines.
Oh, have you?
I've been to Corregidor,
Mm-hmm.
and yeah.
Well, Dr. Palite, we have his uniform up in the Historical Society, and I don't know whether it was one of his first or last or middle uniforms or something like that. But we've got it in a glass cage, and it's astounding. There's so many people come in, and they'll say, so who was he and what did he do? A lot of things are lost in history, so we try to make sure that everybody is aware of what happened 20 years ago, 30, 40, 50 years ago.
Yeah, well, let me tell you a little bit
Okay.
about Dr. Palak. He was practicing medicine in Newport before World War II, and he was a boxer. He'd been a fighter.
I didn't know that.
He as a young man, he was a real bull. He wasn't very big, but he was. Well, he joined the
National Guard.
National Guard. I have no idea why.
I know why. He said he needed money.
Okay,
He had a
something.
family.
So he thought he was going in for a year. He wound up how many years altogether?
Long time.
6 years or
And
something.
then he wound up on the Bataan Death March.
Yes, and yes, and he. Well, you had to be an unusually strong man to withstand the march and everything he went through as a prisoner of war and all that. Yeah.
I'm going to take this picture from, I'm not going to mess these up.
Oh, go ahead.
This is the civilian picture of Dr. Dexter Meyer, and this is in civilian clothing as he's being before the Bureau of Naval Personnel. So this is the beginning of his career, and at that point, everything was either typewritten or handwritten in
Handwritten.
pencil.
Handwritten.
And most of the time, the typist didn't come till they got the finished copy of this. So when you have a handwritten copy of everything that he did, that just goes to show. But there's a pile of paper here that is irreplaceable. But I like the idea of the civilian clothing. He had a full head of hair there.
Well, during the Korean War, even though I was not out of the country, we couldn't wear our uniforms off post.
Because of security reasons.
Don't ask me why.